Like here I've written the transformed variables where x is x into 10 plus 100 and y is y into 50 plus 200.
So you have copied that for all the observations.
Yeah.
Yeah, very good.
So,
then?
And then I found out xi, which is xi minus x bar. And then I did the same for y, and then I did xi, yi, xi square, yi square. And then I found the beta hat value, alpha value. I did the validation as well, as in I checked it with the.
So yeah, you basically validated it with respect to the
Previous.
command.
Yep.
No, but how this new beta hat and old beta hat?
Yeah, so
how they are related?
Like we did it in class where it was like the new beta hat is d by b into the old beta hat.
So here, just go to the next cell. Go to the next cell.
Right.
So what is the you write equal sign, give equal sign.
Yeah.
Go to the old beta hat.
Yeah, I mean that's what I did. It's x2.
Yeah. So you have done validation with respect to this.
Yeah. So here it's basically 1 second.
No, you can just press escape.
Yeah. So here it's x2 into 5, and x2 is the old beta hat, and 5 is d by b, which is 50 by 10.
Okay, 50 by 10. Yeah, but for your understanding, it would be better.
Okay.
If you can just write 50 by 10. I mean, just for your future reference.
Yes, 1 second.
Yeah.
And so for I did this similarly for alpha. I found theta first, which was like
that you have computed.
Yep, c minus a into d by b.
But again, later on, I would suggest you you just write down the values in detail.
Okay.
Just for your future reference, nothing more than that.
Yes, sir. I'll do that. Like right next
so
to theta.
What about R square?
1 second. Yep. So I found out ESS, TSS, and RSS the same way that we did for the previous, previous example, and I found R square, and I found out like correlation between the transform variables x and y, and and this R square also should give the same answer.
That you need to make square.
Yep. So you get the same.
You can use the square operator also. What is the operator?
So just
power 2.
Yeah. You get the same.
Same. Yeah. So this is what we have discussed in the class so far. Basically, how the regression results may alter depending on change of origin and scale of the variables. In yesterday's class also, I just refer a couple of examples where origin and scale would be very, very important. Right. So in subsequent discussions, we'll have some more scrutiny, like say how the variance of alpha hat will change, how the variance of beta hat will change, how the respective test statistics will change. So all these we'll do subsequently. As I said, I'm just waiting for the testing of hypothesis part to be completed in your other course, that is statistics for economics. So next week, hopefully, we'll be able to start some discussions on testing of hypothesis. Now, can you stop sharing? Yeah, it's done. So I'll now get back to the questions, what I had shared with you all. Here, if you go to the very last page, I have just listed some sample questions. And if you try to answer these questions, it will help in having further conceptual clarity. I'll not, at this stage, I'll not talk about all the questions or how to go about it. Just let us take a few examples. Let us see the first question. The first question is for the regression equation this. The OLS residuals are uncorrelated with the explanatory variable, but correlated with the predicted values of the dependent variable. Right? How will you answer to this question? Question is, the OLS residuals are uncorrelated with the explanatory variable, but correlated with the predicted values of the dependent variable.
So find correlation of UI and UI and
we are talking about residual.
Yes, UI hat, sorry.
UI hat.
Exactly. So one is the correlation between what?
UI hat and XI.
XI. And what have we seen yesterday in the class? We derived the covariance between the two. I'm just getting back.
Oh, I think it's 0.
0. It's 0. I think it is have I missed it? Just 1 minute. Where is question number 2? Yeah, here, question number 1, you see. Isn't it? Covariance between Xi and U hat I. We are proving that to be equal to 0. And if the covariance is 0, okay, then the correlation coefficient will also be 0, assuming that sigma X and sigma Y are different from 0. Is it okay? Hello? Is it okay?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes.
Now,
Yes.
what about the next part? There are two components in the question, but correlated with the predicted values of the dependent variable. What about this?
U hat I, Y hat I.
Yeah, and what is the covariance between the two? Is it 0 or different from 0?
Non-zero.
It is 0. Already we have done here. Here you see covariance between Y hat I, that is predicted value of Y, and U hat I, that is the residual. And you see that is also equal to 0. So this statement is partly true. What was the question? Comment on the following statements with justification or proof. The question is not about state whether it is true or false. Because the statement first part is true, but the second part is not. And while answering this question, you will have to derive the covariance between x and u hat I. That will be 0. And also you need to derive the covariance between y hat I and u hat I. And again, that will also be equal to 0. So you can say that both the explanatory variable and predicted y are uncorrelated with the OLS residuals. Both are uncorrelated. That is actually the answer. Let us see the next question. In the next question, we are saying for the regression equation this, if ui is independently, identically and normally distributed, so will be yi. How will you answer this question?
Sir, because alpha like xi is independent variable and the like only random variable left is ui, so that's why.
So is
And
this
yi
statement
is
true or false? Is
It's
it true or
false.
false?
It's false.
False.
Huh? False. Who said false?
Sir, not identical.
Very
yes,
good.
partially true.
Right. See, so what basically you need to do to answer this question? You need to, following the distribution of ui, you need to derive the distribution of yi, and then you need to show that it is independently distributed, it is normally distributed, but the distribution is not identical because the mean will be varying. What is mean? Conditional mean of yi. Conditional mean of yi is equal to alpha plus beta xi. So conditional mean will be varying. So it is not identical, but it is independent as well as normal. And again, this derivation is given here. That is here for the model. This, if this is the distribution of ui, this will be the distribution of yi, and this is how we need to answer. Now, what about the next question? The next question here, if you can see, if the theory or the scatter plot doesn't permit, intercept shouldn't be included in a regression model. What would be your answer?
False.
So what
Sir,
would be the
false.
correct answer?
Sir, alpha should be considered regardless of whether the model permits it or not.
Because we can't prove summation ui hat is equal to 0 if we exclude alpha hat.
Very good. And then what will happen? Many of the subsequent properties will not hold. Isn't it?
Yes, sir.
Like say, when you are proving TSS is equal to ESS plus RSS, there also you are making use of summation of u hat I is equal to 0. Isn't it?
Yes, sir.
So as you rightly pointed out, that if we drop intercept straight away, then the OLS estimators will not be corrected for the mean, and then, as you said, the summation of u hat I is equal to 0. That property will not hold because I don't have the first normal equation. And in the process, many derived properties may not hold. So what we are proposing, let the intercept be there, and if the sample doesn't permit, if the data set doesn't permit the intercept to be included into the regression model, then it will not be statistically significant. So what we are saying basically, that let us not make intercept mathematically 0. Rather, let us see if it is not statistically different from 0. So if it is not, if the intercept is not statistically significant during testing of hypothesis, if we find that, then we'll say that the intercept is not statistically different from 0. We are not saying it is equal to 0. We are saying it is not statistically significantly different from 0. So we are trying to see the presence or absence of intercept statistically, not mathematically. Because if we drop it, then there would be some other issues arising, as we have discussed in the class. So even if the theory or scatter plot doesn't permit to avoid various statistical problems, we should include the intercept and we should decide on intercept depending on the statistical test. If intercept is not estimated, alpha is not statistically significant, that means it is not statistically different from 0. We are not saying it is equal to 0. We are saying it is not statistically significantly different from 0. Next question. While examining the validity of the law of demand, it doesn't matter whether we estimate this model with beta being negative or this model with delta being positive. Because if this is negative here, if beta is negative here, then also it is basically supporting the law of demand. If delta is positive here, then also it is supporting the law of demand. So what would be your response to this question?
Yes, sir, it is true because in both the cases we obtain an inverse relationship between price and demand, which is statistically significant.
Right. But then, I mean, if you are simply talking about inverse relationship between price and quantity demanded, then you are right. But then, simply looking at the inverse relationship between the two, is it enough?
So the slope is also negative, right? The first derivative.
In both, see, here it is negative, right? Here also with respect to price, it will be negative, even if delta is
So
positive.
we
To
also have
differentiate, yeah, sorry.
we also have to take into account the law of diminishing marginal utility. I mean diminishing, like the slope should be decreasing.
Basically, that is what I'm also trying to talk about. The functional form, if you see, in the first case, it is linear. So for every 1 unit change in price, the quantity demanded will change in the same way. But that doesn't happen here, because here it is a nonlinear relationship. So one is, as you rightly pointed out, one important issue here is the slope, which is simply beyond the inverse relationship between price and quantity demanded. Second very interesting aspect here is the asymptotic property. Like say here, if price goes to, say, for example, infinity, how will demand change, quantity demanded change? And here, what will happen to quantity demanded if price goes up to infinity? Obviously, the conclusion will not be the same in the two cases. So broadly, what we are saying, that choice of this functional form will also depend on the nature of the commodity. Choice of the functional form will depend on the nature of the commodity itself. So what we can do? We can have a scatter plot between price and quantity demanded, and we can see, even if it is an inverse relationship, whether it is linear or it is quadratic, we need to see that as well. And then, what are the asymptotic properties? Now, so there are similar questions here. You can see and you can try to write down the answers, so that when we have this theory class on Monday next week, we can have some sample answers to be presented by some of you. Just think of these questions, see the handout, go through the books. I'll share with you some model answers. Like, I'm just showing here the same question. This is how, this is a hint. Then the distribution, again, this is the hint. Say scatter plot. If the theory or scatter plot doesn't permit, intercept shouldn't be included in the regression model. Then this assumption of normal distribution is necessary but not sufficient. So how to answer this question? So what I'll do
again?
Sorry?
So what is blue again?
Best linear unbiased estimator.
Okay.
B for best, L for linear, U for unbiased, E for estimator. So what I'll do, I will add some such hints into these questions and I'll upload. And what I will suggest you all to see these hints and try to write down the answers. So that we can have some further discussions on these answers. You are responding very nicely to these questions. But again, having a comprehensive answer is also very, very important. So how to write answers to these questions comprehensively, that we can have some discussions in the class on Monday. I'll upload some hints on answers to these questions. Just see those hints and try to write down the answers on your own. Like say, here I have given one question for the regression model, this, where we have just the intercept and we don't have any independent variable or the slope coefficient. So we need to see if the OLS estimator of alpha is unbiased. If the OLS estimator of alpha is unbiased. And also we need to derive the OLS estimator of the variance of alpha hat. I'll just show you how to do it. You see, so this is y. So u hat I we can write as yi minus alpha hat, and then this is what we need to minimize in the OLS method with respect to alpha hat, and as you differentiate, you get alpha hat as y bar. And then expectation of alpha hat is equal to expectation of y bar. That means expectation of alpha, summation of alpha plus ui divided by n. And in the process, you are basically getting alpha because you know expectation of ui is equal to 0 by assumption. So alpha hat is an unbiased estimator of alpha. That was the first part of the question. The second part was derive the OLS estimator of the variance of alpha hat. So we have alpha hat as y bar, which is equal to alpha plus u bar. Okay. Now, what do I need to get? I need to get variance of, sorry, here it should be alpha hat. Variance of alpha hat. And that is equal to mathematical expectation of alpha hat minus expectation of alpha hat whole square. And you know, this is unbiased estimator, so we can replace that as alpha, which is nothing but expectation of u bar square, which is again equal to expectation of summation of ui by n whole square. Then this will come out, this n will come out of the mathematical expectation and it would be n square. So it is 1 by n square into, as I discussed with you, yesterday. Suppose this is u1 plus u2 whole square. Then what it will be? u1 square plus u2 square plus 2 into u1 u2. That is what I have written here. And then as you take mathematical expectation, this expectation operator will get inside the summation, and then I will have 1 by n square into expectation of ui square, and you know mathematical expectation of this is equal to 0. ui uj is equal to 0 by assumption. So I will have this as sigma square, and I am summing it over n. So it will be n into sigma square divided by sigma square, which will be equal to sigma square by n. What I'm saying, in exam or in assignments, you may be asked some such proofs. What perhaps we didn't do in the class, but obviously it will be related to that. So basically what I'm saying, you need to follow the process of different derivations that we have done in the class, and following that you need to answer the question. I'm just showing an example how to do it. Is it okay?
Yes, sir.
So I'll stop now, and let me know if you have any further question.